Interior ministers of the federal, states, and their staff attend the Conference of Interior Ministers about the bill to legalize adult use cannabis for personal use in Germany, which is facing criticism from part of the coalition government, who Amsterdam hosted in the city of Oakland just a couple of years ago. While Germany may become the third European country to legalize cannabis for personal use this year after revising the initial plan that included the establishment of a legal market, interior ministers of the federal states have objected to the bill due to concerns about the potential burden it may place on law enforcement. Deep breath, folks. The Conference of Federal State Interior Ministers in June of last year concluded that they don't endorse several aspects of the Cannabis Act, known as CanG, arguing that the legalization may not alleviate criminal prosecution practices. Furthermore, a joint resolution highlighted several negative effects on the efforts against organized crime, the protection of children and young people, as well as health protection, as documented in a report by the Federal Criminal Police Office. And that was made public only in the last few days from the BKA. I'm not going to try to pronounce that German word. Too many consonants. The report highlights several shortcomings in relations related to the technical implementation of the law, criticizes the German government's proposal for the controlled distribution of adult use cannabis, with the interior ministers of the federal states expressing concerns about the inadequacy of several key points. They argue that the government's proposal insufficiently outlines the expected impacts and consequences of cannabis legalization for law enforcement, regulatory authorities, and public safety. The criticism focuses on potential burdens on law enforcement, highlighting challenges such as unclear regulations, unaddressed legal issues, and the likelihood of increased costs and tasks for policing and regulatory agencies. Additionally, the report stresses the need for further clarification and coordination at the state level to address uncertainties and potential challenges posed by the proposed legislation. Overall, it can be stated that the law enforcement and regulatory authorities of the federal states will be faced with additional tasks and expenses in the form of personnel and material costs, which cannot be quantified in detail at the present time. The report reads as translated into English. Now, in addition to the concerns raised by the interior ministers of the federal states, there's also some concerns coming from the Minister of the Interior. And this one particular lawmaker attempted multiple times to address safety concerns by proposing stringent controls on cultivation, the associations for cultivation, enforcing consumption bans, because bans are working so well. The so-called Traffic Light Coalition also pledged to alleviate the burden on police and authorities if consumers were not prosecuted, thus lessening the workload for law enforcement. In fact, the coalition government estimates an annual reduction, almost $8 million, 8.5 actually in U.S., in the burden on law enforcement authorities due to the legal permission to possess cannabis without punishment, citing a decrease in workload for police because you're not just guilty for having it. Regulatory authorities and public prosecutors' offices would no longer have to deal with it either. However, the interior ministers of the federal states question the reliability of this calculation. So while the SPD seems to be facing internal criticism over the legalization plans, and the Greens and the FDP are exerting pressure for finalization of the process. So in early December, they had reached an agreement on details, and they are signaling now that the cannabis legalization law is set to be passed in the Bundestag, but the vote on the law fell off the agenda again in the same month. So, several news media outlets reported last year the legalization of cannabis possession and cultivation would take effect on April 1st. That is the end of this particular news story, but I would love if we had time to talk about the Germans. This is Dale Sky Jones, straight out of Amsterdam, reporting today for High at 9 News.
Of course it's the cops that object, Dale.
Shocker.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked at this. I find their reasoning quite humorous, though. That's
that
sure.
The cost will go up when they have less to do. Mm-hmm. It's cannabis is being bought and sold and consumed, and I also find it unbelievable that they're saying that it would affect organized crime in a way that, organized crime this is just an also and with everything else that they're doing. we hosted the German Federal Health Commission, the equivalent of the German czar, drug czar, as well as all of the parties. We had 6 of the parties. We called up the city of Oakland and hosted them downtown and spent several hours just talking about all of these like implementation issues and selective enforcement, and let's approach it as a whole plant, that we shouldn't also make let's upcycle the waste instead of turning it into trash into a landfill. That's actually, there are benefits to how they approach it. And I challenged Germany specifically while they were here, that you think these things through, you calculate, you do it better. And if Germany can get it right, it's going to affect all of Europe. They are the leader in so many different ways. So we really need to do our best to help them get this right.
They are the largest country in the EU, that's for sure. And they are the dominant economy out there above all of them. Yep. Like no one else even comes close.
They're going to be the hub.
Yeah. No,
all the other countries are going to take their cue off of what Germany does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Germany's the big dog out there. They're just going to follow along whatever Germany does. Very, very, very true. Well, good luck, Germany. We hope you.
And I didn't even get hot. Look, we're good. I'm cool.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.